want to share with you our Bookit moment for the week. Okay, so our book this week, it's what I find the most interesting about this book is that it was written back in 2002, which seems like, oh my God, a long time ago. Like long, long ago in a land far away, Seth Godin wrote the book, Survival is Not Enough. Why smart companies abandon worry and embrace change. So long before the pandemic, good old Seth Godin, who has produced several books that are very impactful for entrepreneurs. So I highly recommend giving him a read and his litany of books that he has produced. But what I loved about this one, it seems so fitting for right now. It's almost too late for this information. Like at this point, if you don't have this information, you're learning it right now. So if you're going to go have a refresher course on how you should be embracing what's happening right now in 2020 and 2021, this is a great book to read. Right. And so I love to share little snippets from the books. So what happens with our Bookit moments is that generally speaking, I like to share with you, literature from my library, my biblioteca. Right. And so sometimes I'll share books that you all have written in about. So if you have a book that you think is really impactful, that relates to entrepreneurs or women or life, share. It can even be your book. I will vet it. Just so you know. But if your book is amazing, we might actually have you on and talk to you about it. Or we'll send you over to Christina. She does a whole author speaker deal. But we might. We will consider it. And so this is another book from my library. And so here's the deal. I'm going to share a couple pieces out of it. And the reason, once again, while we do the Bookit moment, it goes back to whenever you hear a millionaire, multimillionaire, billionaire, successful CEO, leader, whenever they're asked the top 10 things that they recommend for an individual to do to be successful, they say, read a book, without the profanity if you don't know that song. And so they recommend reading because reading is fundamental. And there's amazing information and ways for you to learn without necessarily having to go through all of the pain, or a way for you to recognize that you are not alone. Like someone else has gone through what you've gone through. And what amazes me is that, especially when people do these comparisons and they're like, oh my God, so-and-so is so rich and so-and-so is so successful and so-and-so. But when you hear them tell their stories, the average millionaire will tell you that they lost multiple millions before learning how to sustain millions. So it's not that they're so brilliant and bright, but they're brave. And so they're willing to do what some of us are not willing to do. Or okay, maybe what some of you all are not willing to do. Because I'm in it to win it. I'm ready. They're willing to take the risk to get the reward. And if you're not, it's okay. We've talked before about the difference in investing $1 and investing $1 into you and your business. Because to become a millionaire on average, it does not happen as an employee. It just doesn't. But you can have a good 401k. Thank you. I've been thinking about nonprofits, so I got my 501 information on my desk right now for another one. Like, yeah, why not? Why not have more than 3 nonprofits? I mean, really, who? Oh, yeah, just me. And so, yeah, just me. But when you think about as an employee, you can have investments, you can do things, you can still make money, but a successful entrepreneur will outweigh a successful CEO. Ha 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 ha. Okay, unless you have a golden parachute. All right, but back to survival is not enough. A couple pieces just sharing really quickly that I thought were like really cool. So they talked about, it goes through a lot of things that right now are really applicable. Because if you think about, like last week we talked about the difference between criticism and critique. And so a lot of times, a lot of you, and especially in this age of social media, a lot of you have some really thin skin. I don't have a nicer way of putting that. A lot of you are really sensitive. And a lot of you are bullies because no one can stand in front of you and punch you in your face for the things that you say. But recognizing that this person, user Z54321, who you've never met, never seen, and isn't even bold enough to talk to you in person, told you that they didn't like your shirt, or they thought you were ugly, or they were whatever. It's amazing how much that impacts us when I'm sitting right across from you and I might make a similar comment, which I generally won't, and it doesn't seem to have the same effect. It's amazing how much we regurgitate that information in our heads. And so we will not do something for fear that someone will say something. Am I the only one who goes like, that's such a sad way to live? Considering your potential of all that you could accomplish, if you really spend all of your time focused on, well, what will they say? Who cares? Okay, anyway, in the book, they mention 3 criticism curses that make companies put the brake on innovation. So see, I was really talking about this for a reason, right? Successful companies fear external criticism. Successful innovators are more subject to harsh criticism. And the less innovative employees of a company unfairly criticize the innovators.